This is Power News with your host, Shikama. ABC recently did as they have in the past, did a piece about child custody. And in this piece, they took the side of the men, or they told the men's story. But it's not that they told a men's story. They told you a very heart-wrenching story of women who went into court and accused the men for divorce proceedings, and accused the men of spousal abuse, child abuse, pedophilia, and all sorts of very ridiculous and nasty things, just to get custody of the children. There was one man in the group who had not been able to even see his child for over 5 years. The child was already 5 years old, or 5 to 10 years old. It was a young child. It was not a baby. So literally the child was almost grown, almost 18 years old as of the taping of the show. Now, of course, they all said that these were complete and utter fabrications, but that the court system is such that not only do they take the woman's words for it, that she doesn't have to prove it, and in some cases, there is no evidence on her side, but the courts simply go along with it. So then we have the fallout of that is then we have men who have to register as sex offenders, child offenders, that sort of thing, because this woman lied in divorce court. Now, I'm in the middle of an argument with a woman talking about the men's rights movement and the women's rights movement, and of course, she's gonna fall on the side of the women's movement, which is not a movement. It is a complete and utter bastardization of what it originally was intended to do, which was to get women's right to vote and to make sure that women were paid equal in the workplace. It was nothing political, but now it is a purely political thing whereby women have more than equal rights. And what's really sad is other women do not see this, that women have more than equal rights now. And when you talk about that, they think that you're just preposterous. How could that be? Women are actually paid more and do less work. They are paid more and do less work. Why is this? Because the laws are written as such that the employer cannot discriminate, and these regulations of non-discrimination go a little bit overboard. Not a little bit overboard, they go completely overboard, because then the female worker gets more rights than the male worker. A lot of time let's say they're having a child, the couple is having a child, and they both work in the same place. The man gets absolutely nothing, whereas the woman gets paid time off, all sorts of complete and utter perks. And these are not perks that the employer is wanting to do. These are perks that the regulation requires, right? And they do not require this for the men. So the woman ends up making more by regulation. Also, although women do not do work nearly as long as men, they don't work overtime, they don't work dangerous jobs, they are paid more for lesser jobs. And so when you do the aggregate, women are actually making more. And so that just goes to show you how the regulations and the women's movement has moved from trying to get equal rights into getting more rights. And that's how we come to a court system that can allow a woman to simply accuse a man of domestic violence, rape, child abuse, spousal abuse, what have you, and the court go along with it. That is also why we have in custody battles, women given the benefit of the doubt of being the more caring partner. There has never been a study to even show that women are any more caring than men when it comes to child rearing or being a parent. There is nothing to say that just because a woman has a breast and a vagina that somehow intrinsically she is the better parent. There is nothing to say about that. And why would I say that? Because now women work as much as men. So where is it said, or where is it proven that this woman who works 40 hours a week is a better parent or guardian or upbringer of children than a man? There is nowhere that it says that. And in the Y generation, those are those people who were born after 1990 to 2000. In the Y generation, we are finding that females have completely divorced themselves of all female roles previously held. The person that cooks, that cleans, that keeps the home, budgets, they don't do that at all. Sews, they can sew, they can cook from scratch, none of that. They can do stuff around the house, none of that. They can do housework, none of that. The Y generation has completely divorced themselves of what we termed woman's work. Now we're finding in the Y generation that men do all of that on top of when they're a single parent, they do everything of a single parent and hold down a job. And nobody is saying I'm a strong, independent black man, or I'm a strong, independent white man. They're just a man. And not to make light of the situation, but the pendulum has swung so far in the other direction, and nobody is holding the Y generation women accountable. I have spoken to several older women from X generations or all the way up to 60, 70 octogenarians who have said that their children or grandchildren, female grandchildren, are not what they would even term a woman any longer. And there's nothing that they can do, because you can't talk to them. The grandmother or the mother cannot talk to the Y generation women, because they feel that they are so entitled to the way that they run their lives, and that you cannot say anything to them. So let's go back to the ABC piece. The only thing that these men were even capable of doing is just simply hiring a lawyer and trying to continuously fight for custody. And then when you saw the piece, you could see that the men were really broken. You know, everybody wants to talk about father and mention father just in passing, that it's just something, it's just nothing. But what a lot of people don't understand is when a man gets married and he wants to start a family, that's his purpose in life, is to start a family. And the starting a family, of course, means that he is having children. He has a legacy. He has people to pass on his inheritance to, and build up his dynasty, if you will. So when a woman gets married, although she might want kids, a lot of that "I want kids" ends at about 10 years old. And I'm just talking about anecdotal evidence. There has been no study about this. But for the most part, after when puberty hits, women lose interest, and fathers have interest from day 1 all the way into day 50, all into year 50. When the child is 50 and they're on their deathbed, the father is still, here, son, take on the mantle of the family. And that's what a father is. He's building his dynasty. So a father's rights and a father's custody rights and parental rights are built upon his entire notion of family. I would say it's more important for the man to have the family than the woman. But for whatever reason, we are going back to the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and assuming that women want the children, and in a lot of cases the women don't want the children. Why do we have an explosion of abortion, of women killing their children in the womb? It's because the women don't want the children in the first place. I could care less about rape or incest or anything like that. The women just don't want the children. Leave a comment below, like the video so other people can see it. And I do not have an update as to how those fathers fared, but of course this is an ongoing thing, that women go into court and falsely accuse their husbands, soon to be ex-husbands, of all sorts of just sordid things. And of course you do not hear the opposite. There is no men going into court accusing the woman of doing anything, although there was a study that said the majority of child abuse comes from women. Thank you for watching Power News.